My grandparents came out in 1912, and they came from McGregor, Texas. It's in the center of Texas. Uh, Gus Cook was already here dying of tuberculosis. Trot Cook, which is my great uncle, he had TB, and they told him to get to a drier climate. So he came out and got the homestead working, or whatever they did to homestead. And then the rest of the family came by train to Dolores. And then they started from Dolores in a wagon and went to come out here. And they had a small baby, and between Dolores and here, he died. So they stopped where the cemetery is now, today, and buried him. And then my dad's name was Joe, and he was born in 1919 here at the house. And my name, of course, is Pat Fulks, and I was born in 1946. And I was born in Cortez simply because they didn't think they could get to town in an emergency. But we skied to school, and it was a half a mile uphill both ways, the way it always is. But we always had snow forts built everywhere because we used to get snow that would stay all winter. It wasn't none of this, melting off and being dry for a while and having a little storm. We'd have snow that lasted all winter. And so we would, by the school across the road, we would dig in our little forts and then get water and pour on them and let them freeze, and they'd last for months. And then that's where we played. That was before TV, or telephones, just barely into electricity, and we played across the road at what we always called the spring, and the big flat rocks down there. We'd take picnics down there and eat, and then jump down into the water from the top of that cliff and mess, because it was water. We didn't have water out here, so mess around in that water and climb back up the cliff and jump off of it again, back into the water. That's what we spent our time doing. When we was playing down there, right to the north of where the cliff is, where the spring is right below, there was a wall still standing that was quite a bit taller than me, which I was probably pretty close to as tall as I am now at 13. And we'd get down in there because it was shady and cool, and mess around in it. But I think it's all completely caved in now. I don't know that if there is anything. I haven't crawled up on it to see, but at that time there was one room that probably, I'm guesstimating 6 by 8 maybe, room that still had the walls up above the level of the ground that we had to climb into to get into it. And there was pottery shards and throwing stones and axe heads and stuff like that laying everywhere. And I don't know whether we just knew it or we was told to keep our hands off of it. We never took stuff from across the road. Once in a while we would see a forest ranger, I guess. I'm not sure what his official title was, but they'd come out and walk down there. And we was just pretty upset about that. We didn't think he had any right being down there. He just, that was our spot, not his. And I wish that it was like it was when I was a kid. You can't go backwards, but the sites now are not half as neat as they were back then. My wish would have been that this place would have been either not put on the maps where the people didn't know it was there, or guarded more closely. The way it was, that's how everything went walking off, because there was nobody watching over it. But that across the way has been so plundered by uncaring tourists. So each person picking up 1 or 2 or 3 pieces, in my lifetime, has denuded that place of any kind of stuff laying around, of artifacts. And it's sad. I hope that at this point that there is some way of educating the public, because that's the only way you can to leave things alone. I think respect for the land is slowly coming back, and the more education you guys can do, the better off it is.